The sole purpose of this video is to provide a basic overview and orientation of your new apparatus. This video is not intended to act as or replace individualized driver-operator training. Individual fire departments may base guidelines, policies, and procedures tailored for best practices. Pierce Manufacturing and Hughes Fire Equipment representatives are not liable for injuries caused from acts resulting from actions inconsistent with the information provided within this video and/or accompanying manuals. Refer to the Operation and Maintenance Manual for complete details relating to the components and features of this apparatus. Only trained personnel should operate this vehicle or perform maintenance. You are responsible for learning how to operate this fire apparatus under all conditions without having to refer to the manual while operating at an emergency incident. This video will discuss types of warnings and caution labels. It is your responsibility to locate and identify each of the labels and understand the importance and associated hazards. Warning labels will point out procedure that must be taken or action that must be avoided to guard against the possibility of serious injury or death. Caution labels will advise you that there is a risk of damage to property if certain precautions are not followed. Continuous training, reviewing of operation and service manuals, developing good standardized practices will assist driver operators with a more complete understanding of the components and operation of this fire apparatus. As the driver operator of this vehicle, you are responsible for understanding the function of each component of the apparatus, maintaining control of the fire apparatus at all times while in operation, make operational and functional changes while operating at an emergency without having to read operator's instructions or safety warning labels, operate manual override and emergency shutdown procedures immediately if a component fails to operate properly. Components location may vary with each Pierce fire apparatus. Review the exact location of each component prior to operation. Major inconsistencies between your vehicle and the information contained in this video should be directed to your sales representative. Safe operation of any vehicle is the responsibility of the driver operator. You must learn the location and function of all controls, switches, gauges, valves, inlets, and discharges. Due to a higher center of gravity, heavy trucks have a significantly higher rollover tendency than other types of vehicles. To reduce the risk of rollover, avoid making sharp turns, excessive speed, and avoid abrupt maneuvers. In the event of a rollover crash, an unbelted person is significantly more likely to become injured or die than a person wearing a seatbelt. In the event of a crash, unbuckled occupants can also become a hazard to other occupants. As they may be thrown around inside the cab. Seatbelts are required while in operation. Please refer to your warranty certificates for details and information enclosed in your manuals. Customer-installed equipment must be mounted to withstand road travel and comply with NFPA 1901. Modifications such as drilling holes or welding to structural frame components of the chassis are not permitted. Contact Pierce for instruction and review of non-structural sheet metal or other dissimilar metals for modification. Follow the radio installation guide for further assistance on installing or mounting electronics. Before placing your new apparatus into service, perform a primary inspection of key components of the apparatus, including all fluid levels, anti-lock braking systems, electronic stability control, and automatic traction control. Weigh your apparatus to ensure that it conforms to axle and brake ratings. Never exceed the gross axle rating printed on the label inside the cab. Exceeding these ratings could lead to reduced component life, personal injury, or death. Review the use of auxiliary braking systems, compression brake, exhaust brake, electronic retarder, and hydraulic retarder. Before placing the apparatus in service, refer to the operational maintenance manuals. Information on the operation and maintenance functions for the components such as the pump, pressure governor, and foam systems, along with other options, is provided in either the Pierce manuals and/or other manufacturer support information delivered with the apparatus. If you need more information, please contact Hughes Fire Equipment. Congratulations, Tucson Fire, Arizona, on your new apparatus, job number 31369. Please utilize this job number when referencing your apparatus with Hughes Fire Equipment. Let's get started on a brief orientation. Starting with the front bumper of your new apparatus, just underneath the front bumper you'll find two open-ended chromed tow hooks. Moving up onto the bumper on the right and left side, you'll find dual air horns. Moving just inward of that location, you'll find two electronic sirens, and just in from that location, your apparatus unit number 16. Above from that location onto the very top of the bumper, you'll find an access or tub storage for hose with a front discharge. Moving up onto the outer section of the apparatus, you'll find your turn indicators. Moving just inward of that location, the headlight cluster. The inner beam is the high beam, the outer beam is the low beam. Moving up on top, you'll find a right and left turn indicator, and just inside of the turn indicator cluster, you'll find an emergency warning light. Moving up from that location, you'll find two grab handles on the right and left side. Close-up views of your front air horn and the passenger side and driver side of the apparatus. You'll also find on the side of your bumper a warning light. Looking underneath the apparatus, this is an image of those open-ended tow hooks, and just also underneath this area you'll find your discharge drain for your front bumper. Here's a close-up image of that cluster of your headlights and turn indicators. Let's go ahead and look above at the top of the apparatus. On the brow of the apparatus there are 5 running lights. Located in the center, a fixed forward-facing floodlight. Up from that location you'll find your warning or light bar. Moving up to the very top, you'll find your go light, multi-directional, controlled from within inside the cab, spotlight, and moving to the section just over the operator's seat, your opticom. Underneath the apparatus, you'll find at every entry point perimeter lighting on the ground area. This is a front and rear section of the perimeter lighting. Looking inside the front section of the front bumper, you'll find this swivel front bumper discharge, 1.5 inches in diameter. Here's a close-up of the top tubbed tray with a cutout for the hose. And as you can see, when it is currently in the open position, there is also a dry deck material on the underneath section. Generalized view of the side of your apparatus, let's cover some of the components in this area. Starting with the mirrors, as you can see, this is the back side of the mirror. The front side of the mirror has a 2-section mirror. At the very top it is flat. The lower section is convex. Those are both controlled from the inside of the cab. On the outside here you'll find your door latches all are keyed. In addition, with a auto discharge shore power inlet, 20 amp. Just above that you'll find your auto charging indicator. Moving to the right, you'll find an emergency warning light. This is the front section of your apparatus. You can see the drain and also the undercarriage light here, or perimeter light. And this is the opposite, just rear section. Located at the very top, you'll find a side warning light in addition with your tank level indicator, indicating the amount of water in the tank. On each of the doors in the rear section, you'll find a red strap for assisting yourself into the back section of the cab. Generalized view of the rear section of your apparatus, there are 2 fold-down steps. And as we look at the very top, once again, there is that side-facing floodlight, and just beneath that, you'll find your water indicator for your tank. As we move just to the right of that location, you'll find the cross lays here that are through both to the passenger side for hose storage. In addition, at the very top, you'll find an extension or extendable light. And moving down to the bottom, this is where we're going to start when we start talking about some of the components within your pump. In the upper left-hand corner, you'll find your cross lays, cross lay number 1, cross lay number 2, and cross lay number 3. As we move down onto the panel itself, because those hoses are coming off the top, you'll find this label, a warning for entanglement. You're also going to find your 2 foam tanks. This is going to be foam A, and the opposite side here in red is foam B, clearly identified in the red color scheme for foam. As we move further over, you'll find a pressure gauge regarding your inlet pressure. As we move over to the right side and just slightly below that, you'll find this gauge to be able to increase or decrease that pressure. This is your master intake on the right-hand side in the gray area, and just beneath that you'll find your vacuum and pressure test ports. Moving up to the upper right-hand corner, you'll find your master discharge. Let's go ahead and move down to the next section here. These are going to be your valves regarding your cross lays for number 1, 2, and 3. They are color-coded, as you can see, in the yellow, white, and grayish color. Those also correspond on the opposite side for color coding of discharges and valves. You also have your real discharge and your deluge discharge in this area. Let's go ahead and move just slightly over to the right-hand side. We'll talk about the components here. This is your engine throttle control and governor. You'll see in the upper left-hand corner you have a check engine light if that is on. In the center you'll find a digital readout. Moving just to the right upper corner you'll find a check engine light. As you move further down on this exact same panel you'll find your menu button, and on the opposite side a silence button, and then you'll find various information regarding engine. Temperature, battery, fuel, etc. As we move further down in the yellow areas here, you're going to find either throttle mode or you'll find pressure mode. You're also going to find lights for each one of those depending on which one you have selected. On the right-hand side in the green, you'll find a green preset button for indication of when you pre-set up your pressures, you can push that button. Just beneath that, the throttle indicator and also idle. On the right-hand side, in that same gray area, you'll find that round black audible alarm. And we'll talk next about the set of switches on the right, and also once again a warning label regarding standing or operating on the side. Just beneath that you'll find your front discharge here in the purple, and on the opposite you'll find your passenger rear discharge. Moving to the right of those discharges you'll find your tank fill or recirculating line, and as you move further over you'll find this turn, not a pull, engine cooler. Just beneath that, you'll find a water tank level, which will match the side of the apparatus on both the passenger and driver side. And you'll also find your primer for your fire pump. Also down in this corner, you'll find the wheel for your large diameter discharge. Let's take a look at those switches. At the very top, you have a pump and gauge. This is an indicator, not a switch. Just beneath that, you're going to find the driver's side scene lights, where there's the scene lights we saw on the front section of the cab. Also, passenger side scene lights. As you move to the next set of switches down, these are going to be your switch that controls the rear scene lights, and there's also a switch in the rear of the apparatus. In red, you'll find your air horn switch, and just beneath that, you'll find your real rewind switch. In the upper right-hand corner, this will be your panel light switch with a panel light in that same area, and then just beneath that, you'll find once again a fall hazard warning label. Once again, that's that audible alarm that can be adjusted. Taking a look down to the next section down, you're going to find your offside large diameter intake. That's the gauge for that, or inlet for that. Just beneath that is your Pierce label regarding 150, 200, and 250, the PSIs and RPMs that coincide with that, and a governed RPM. Just beneath that, or just to the right of that, you'll find the next set of valves, which is for your number 1, number 2, number 3, and number 4 discharges.
Those are all 4 2.5-inch discharges. As you can see, they are color-coded not only to the valve, to the gauge, but also to the discharge outlet. There's also on the left-hand side this placard indicating warning, and you should seek information in your owner's manual. You'll also find these 2 ports. This is the 30-degree downturn, which has a red label for discharge number 1, and this is discharge number 2. Just to the right of that, you'll find additional labeling regarding maintenance schedule for your apparatus, and to the right of that, behind the Pierce logo, the American flag, you'll find your large diameter discharge. When you take caps off on any portion of this apparatus, please seek the information regarding those labels and regarding pressure. On the far right-hand side, you'll find a visual indicator for your tank gauge. And on the very left-hand side, you'll find an air inlet chuck. Once again, this is your large diameter discharge in the very center with the Pierce logo. And as you move further down to the left-hand side, you'll find 2, once again, turn valves for discharge or air outlet. On the right side, or just directly in the center in the chromed area, you'll find your 2.5-inch auxiliary inlet, which also has a valve associated with it, the placard for your Watrous information regarding the pump and transmission, and in the upper right-hand corner, you'll find a cap here that houses your strainer. Just beneath that, you'll find your tank drain, or pump drain, I should say, and beneath that, you'll find your manual pump shift override. Let's go ahead and take a look down to the lower section here. This is a tubbed area for hose storage. It also has straps that are clasped. To remove that and gain access, remove the straps. Also on the side of your apparatus, you can see you have 3 fold down steps to gain access to the very top where your booster or red line is located, in addition with storage and also your master stream device. Let's go ahead and take a look behind some of the roll-up doors, talk about some of the components within those. Let's get started with this door first. This is a roll-up door. To gain access, simply lift the lever on the very bottom, gains access into this compartment. As you can see, you have an adjustable shelf on the very bottom that's currently in a fixed position. As you move up from there, you'll find your battery charger and shoreline outlet power. We'll find a variety of different access points here. In the large compartment at the very top, you'll find bottle storage. This can take 2 SCBA bottles if you choose, or other types of bottles for bottle storage. Just beneath that is your 4.5 US gallon DEF tank. It is a blue cap. And just over the midsection of the tire, you'll find an additional warning light. Moving further back behind the access door here, as the very top one, or the long one as we consider, behind this door is additional bottle storage. Once again, 2 bottles can be stored here, or any other types of bottle you choose. Just beneath that, you'll find your ultra low sulfur diesel fuel. Let's go ahead and move up just above that section, and we'll find this roll-up door with Tustin Fire located on it. Once inside, you'll find on the very back wall a possible of tool mounting, a variety of different types of tools for that. Let's go ahead and move back to the very rear compartment. Once again, roll-up locking door. As we look inside here, you can see you have 2 adjustable shelves that are currently fixed. As a quick reminder, all of your compartments have lighting within inside. Just a quick view of the rear and side of your apparatus, but let's first talk a little bit about some of the components here on the rear section of your apparatus. Let's start down at the very bottom. In the very center, you have an attachment point here, or tow hook. To the right and left-hand side, you'll see perimeter lighting. At the very top left and right, you'll find these rear scene lights. In addition with, as you move down further, your logo for 16, also your license plate holder, and you'll also find a access door. And as we open this access door, this will be the location of your push button to tilt the cab of your apparatus. Looking down at the lower section, you'll find you have an identification number and a lighting cluster that houses emergency brake, turn, and also scene lights. Once again, upper right-hand corner has that rear-facing light. And in the very center, this roll-up compartment door, as we gain access into it, we'll find 2 adjustable shelves in here. On the right and left-hand side, you'll find work lights in addition with fold-down steps. In the very center, you'll find your backup or reverse camera in addition with your traffic advisor. On the right-hand side, you'll find your passenger rear discharge. Moving up to the top of the apparatus, rear section where your hose bed is located, you'll find that you have adjustable hose bed dividers in addition with lighting. As we look just forward of that location, you'll find on the driver's side your foam B tank, and on the passenger side your foam A tank. In the center will be your water tank. Both A and B tanks have clasps on them so that they can lock in the closed position. Moving just forward of that location, you'll find your red or booster line, in addition with your deluge at the very top and a floodlight. Here's an image of your red line. Moving back to the rear section of the apparatus on the passenger side, let's talk about the very top, which is your equipment rack. To gain access to this, go to midsection of your apparatus. You'll find your powered equipment rack. Turn the switch on, green light will illuminate, and the lift up or down lever. Once it's in the down position, gain access to the tools and the ladders. You currently have a 24-foot and a 14-foot roof. There's also a 10-foot attic and also 2 pike poles. As we look up to the top, when it's in its stored position, once that lever is turned from on to off, these will automatically return back and lock into position for storage. There is one in the rear of the apparatus and also one in the very front of the apparatus. Let's go ahead and move back to the very back of your apparatus passenger side. We'll talk about the components that are within this compartment. Once again, locking roll-up door. Once we gain access into this door, what you'll find here at the very bottom is a 500-pound capacity roll-out shelf. The latch is on the right-hand side. As we move up to that, you'll see additional shelving here, which has an adjustable shelf location and also a retaining strap. Just up from that, you'll also find some additional shelving. This is that bottom shelf that has the 500-pound maximum weight capacity. To access that, once again, on the roller side of the right side, you'll find this depression level. Once it is depressed, the shelf will then roll to its outward or extended position, shown in the picture here. Let's go ahead and move just forward of this compartment. Near the rear tire, you'll find 2 compartments in this area. Behind those 2 access doors, you'll find additional bottle storage. Here are some images of the rear compartment. Once again, a divider allowing you to have 2 bottles in this compartment. And as we move to the very forward section, you'll also find the same configuration, bottle storage for 2 bottles here. Let's go ahead and move just overhead of this location to the compartment that houses the Tucson Fire logo on it. Once again, roll-up compartment door that is locking. Once that is open, you'll find a opening or pull-out style tool board. For adjusting, you have right and left adjustments for moving it forward and backwards. Once it's in the open position, you can mount tools on both the front and back side, and there is also a locking pin to restore it back to its original locked position. Let's move forward to the next compartment. In this tall compartment here, once again, roll-up door with a lock on it. Once it's open, what we can find here is an adjustable shelf on the very bottom, and you also have the ability for mounting of equipment on the side wall and also on the back wall. Just beneath that compartment, you'll find this warning label regarding diesel exhaust and its extreme temperatures, and you'll see your exhaust port just at the lower section. We'll talk about some of the components in this area here. First, let's talk about where the main identifier items are. You have access doors on the right and left-hand side. You can see a 2.5-inch discharge. This is once again presenting your ladder rack, which allows it to be moved up and down. To the right of that, this is your cab tilt, raise and lower. An additional access door here. We'll cover those components in just a moment. There are some switches just underneath those access doors. And on the far left-hand side, because you have an automatic intake, you'll have a override for that location. Large diameter intake on this side. Also, you have a large diameter discharge. And to the right of that or front of your apparatus, you'll find this next discharge, which is a 2.5-inch discharge. Moving down to the lower section, you're going to find a variety of different discharge drains. In addition, within the very center, the 2.5-inch auxiliary inlet, which also has a valve control on it. Let's go ahead and move up to the very top section here. This is the area that you will be accessing your crosslays and also the ability to gain your red line from this location. This is crosslays 3, 2, and 1, as you can see color-coded. This is also just an additional picture here. You have the ability here to have a work light and also extend that deck monitor. Let's go ahead and talk about what's behind the first compartment here on the left. This is going to access for your drains, and you can see just at the very bottom, unfortunately kind of a blurry picture, that is your override. Let's go ahead and talk about what's behind the next compartment next to the cab lift. This is going to be an access door. This gains access to your equipment rack and also hydraulic reservoir. The two switches we mentioned earlier, one in red is your air horn. The next one down is the passenger side scene light. And as we look down at the very bottom of your pump, you can also see you have the ability to make changes within that board. On the right-hand side, you'll see full down steps in this area, also with a grab rail to access those upper compartments and hose. And now we'll take a look at the right-hand side. Specifically in this area near the front door, you'll find this bullet-style side-facing or rear-facing camera, which will display on your center monitor. As we look inside the cab, we'll find a variety of different things. We'll cover each of those components next, but on every one of the access doors, there is also additional information on safety for belts. Down at the right leg, you'll find your warning label here regarding diesel exhaust, in addition with equipment damage and reading the manual. But let's talk about this yellow label here. This is your Pierce Manufactured By label. In the very top, it says City of Tucson. It also gives your manufacture date. It also provides you with the job number for referencing. And there's also some capacity here, gross vehicle weight ratings, in addition with tire rim size, cold tire pressures. There's also a VIN number about mid-location here. It's also located on the A pillar of the driver's side. That's your VIN number. Lower section are fluid capacities and the fluids for your apparatus. On the driver's seat, you have an air ride seat, which also has the ability for tilt and also up and down. General view of the pedal area, brake and treadle, and accelerator. Left-hand corner upper left, you'll find this silver start on-off switch. This is your battery switch. Moving to the right, you have a tech module and also an engine ABS diagnostic port. Down at the bottom, you'll find ABS, DPF regen, engine diagnostic, and also inhibit regen. Moving up from that section, this is going to be your pump mechanism from road to pump and from pump to road. You find a pump engaged green indicator and an OK to pump green indicator. There are instructions on this for help. Just up from that, you're going to find your air horn, your electronic siren, perimeter lights, deck lights, a location for a future switch if needed, and also your load manager. Moving just up on the right-hand side about knee height, you'll find your flat mirror to make adjustments. Left and right in the center just locks out, and you can touch that and move it side to side. Just a general overview at the top of the apparatus over the seat of the driver. Let's start in the left-hand corner here. You'll find on the left-hand side your ignition and also your start switch. You'll also find your emergency master, headlights, and panel dim switch. Generalized view here of your front cluster. This is going to house the transmission, oil, DEF level, and also your water temperature. As we move to the very center section, you'll find your RPMs or tachometer, your miles per hour speedometer. And also in the center clusters here, you'll find a variety of just informational illuminated lights that could be housed once the engine is turned on, for your battery on, all of the checks. Also, the current outside temperature and mileage is located in these areas. On the right-hand side of the cluster, you'll find your voltage meter, in addition with front air and rear air pressure, and your fuel gauge. You'll also find a small round push to select, which controls the digital information displayed in the yellow area for mileage, in addition with various types of things to scroll through those areas. Let's go back over to the left-hand side. The EM switch is for emergency master. It is the general control switch for all of your emergency lights. Next to it, headlights, parking lights, and panel lights. To the right of that, on the opposite side of the column, you'll find your OK high idle indicator, which is in green, and the switch to engage your high idle. Generalized view of the center section of your console. We'll break down these next set of components here next. Let's first start with your Pierce Command Center. This gives you a variety of different information from your fuel, speed, seatbelt information, very helpful screens. Also to the right of that, you'll find your windshield wipers, push to have windshield wiper fluid displayed onto the window, and turn for wiper control. Just beneath that, you'll find some switches: engine brake on off, low, medium, and high, and also your mirror heat. You're also going to find in this area your transmission pad, which is Allison, and you'll pump in drive, and also your system parking brake. Other upper corner, you're going to find your climate control. Gray areas for heat and defrost, red for heat, blue for AC. Generalized view looking across from the driver's seat to the passenger side, and we'll have another image here looking just a little bit further back. You also have some shelving and compartments here. Let's go ahead and go back overhead of the operator, and I'll address this next sticker here or placard. On the left, you'll find the height, length, and gross vehicle weight reading in addition with your job number. That's coming from the manufacturer and the information that was displayed. If you make any changes to that, please make changes to this label. Let's take a look at the gauges here or switches. First, you have your emergency master, a roof light, front warning, side warning, lower rear warning, and also the upper rear warning. As we move to the right of this location, you'll find your high beam flash, your opticom switch, front flood, driver's side and passenger side scenes, and also on the very far right, your rear scene. Let's go ahead and move to the next set of panels over, and this is going to be your your go light. This is the light that's on the top spotlight, on-off switch with an indicator, and also control. Just beneath that area, you'll find a variety of different components, but the most important component I think here is for the operator is do not move the apparatus when this light is on. This is indicating that you have a compartment ajar or a door open. Let's move just to the front section of this area. You'll find just hanging here is your siren. This is going to also be your PA and volume control for the PA. Just to the right of that, back up onto the console, you'll find your traffic advisor. As we look from the outside rear section of the cab, you'll find you have two rear-facing SCBA seats. In the center of those SCBA seats, once across, you'll find an access door. This is for your daily checks, for checking your oil and transmission. This compartment just inside of it has a light if you need to turn that on also. Looking from the front section to the rear, you see on the right and left fold-down seats in addition with a center roll-up door. You have inside the roll-up door, you have two fixed adjustable shelves in addition with 12-volt wiring that's coming through to those locations for future equipment. Let's take a look at the side of those seats here. These are the fold-down seats. As you can see, just underneath the fold-down seats, you have some portable lights here that are on charge, and also you can see your red seat belts for clearly identifying if you have your belt on. There is also a lower flashlight on both right and left-hand side. Let's move now to the passenger side. As you see on the right-hand side of the door, these are the warning labels regarding seat belts and additional information. Looking inside, your vehicle is equipped with an SRS supplemental restraint airbag, and there's also information here on the placards and warning devices not to block that SRS device. Up on top, you'll find a reading light or map light, and you'll also find the logo for SRS for your supplemental restraint system. Left-hand side, you'll find your air horn push button. Just beneath that, a 12-volt USB style access for 12 volt. Above the passenger's head, you'll find your go light on-off switch with the light indicator and also the switch to move it around. Congratulations, Tucson Fire, on your new apparatus, job number 31369. If you have any questions as to the content of this video or have any questions furthering your information, please contact your Hughes Fire sales representative. Thank you and congratulations.